The Rice to Ricky Sanchez podcast is presented by DraftKings. Sign up for DraftKings Sportsbook, download the app, and use promo code RTRS. And brought to you by Adam Kasabi, the official realtor of the process, serving the Delaware beaches at processrealtor.com. Big Barker therapeutic dog beds. Get yours at bigbarker.com/Ricky, so you get that process patch. And Corn Blau, the official law firm of the process. We need some sort of like takeaway or promo code, like a T-shirt, like, you know, Corn Blau made me money, or I got hurt, but it's okay now because
I got hurt.
on the show today, the NBA's restart hits a little bit of a snag because the league's resident conspiracy theorist, referred to on this podcast regularly with Smoker's Arms, waved up a caution flag. Ben Simmons posts more photos of himself on social media. Sixers Adam joins us to give one of his most controversial opinions, I think, of all time. Mike doesn't even know what the opinion is. I insisted he say it on the pod. We finally get to our Carl Landry Record Club Album of the Week. And of course, we get to the Lorenzo Brown mailbag. A reminder that Mike's script for Brotherly Love, Mike and Patrick's script for Brotherly Love, will be available for 1 week and 1 week only on rightsrickysanchez.com starting June 25th. We want to thank Touchstone Electric Fireplaces for matching. So it'll be $5 for the PDF with artwork from Abby and the entire script. But Touchstone Electric Fireplaces, zerodeadbirds.com is going to match all of that. So the proceeds will go to Coded by Kids and Providence Animal Center. But we have two specific missions that each one of them is going to go to, which I think is really cool. So for Coded by Kids, it will go to CBK Academy. And what CBK Academy is an online version of Coded by Kids. And they had to start doing this when COVID hit, but then they realized the ability for them to reach even more people by doing an online version of the courses is really important. So CBK Academy needs like money so they can develop the platform deeper and better and make it able to serve more people. It is self-paced and live learning, so it's both. It's sort of like just like the classroom one. It does both. And it's not just, it's called Coded by Kids, but it's not just teaching people like online learning platforms. It's ideation, problem solving, other skills like necessary. We've talked about entrepreneurship that Coded by Kids does. So your money for Mike's script will go right to CBK Academy. And for Providence Animal Center, they have a new program called Canine College. So they were telling me about this one dog they had named Tiny. And Tiny is a good dog, but needs like extensive behavior training before he's able to go home. And that's expensive. There's like a completely different facility in Philly that does this. So it's like $3,000 a month for these dogs to get this training. So all of the money from Mike's script will go to Canine College for Providence Animal Center and CBK Academy for Coded by Kids. So,
two great causes.
Awesome.
Getting kids ready for a job in tech and getting dogs ready for, healthy adoptions.
Yeah, homes. And that's like the issue is that these dogs get to the shelters for that one and there's no like, it's an atmosphere that isn't great for all dogs. It's noisy and they're around other dogs. So I think both, as you said, are awesome. Getting more kids ready, even just thinking about like the travel. There's some kids that can't even make it to a Coded by Kids classroom because of time or distance or money. So I think CBK Academy is a great cause. So
or disability.
Or disability. Yep. So once again, that'll be June 25th. We will have the link up very shortly, I think, this week.
And the script is pretty good. It's not like a trash script.
Right.
I think Spike still hasn't said anything about it.
Well, I want to hold, I really want to hold all of my opinions for the pod with you and Patrick. I want to I want it there. I don't look, obviously this is
Here he goes.
What's it? No, this is your work. I mean, I would hope it would be good, right? I mean, I would hope you would be proud of it. This was like an opportunity for you. I think this is I'm not even kidding here. This is not only like a podcast thing. This is like part of your life. This is part of your career that you're sharing with people. I actually believe you're going to think this is, I'm not being facetious or funny or sarcastic. I think you sharing this script with people for this show, um, especially for a good cause. I think that's great. But I think you sharing it is a really neat thing, and I think
A
people should.
neat
No,
thing.
I do. I do. I mean, it would be like Amos having a song that never made the record, but was really, that he put his life and work into and his heart and soul into. I think that would be neat. So I think it's really cool that you're doing it. I'm
Thanks.
being serious.
It's hard to take it seriously. One time when I lived with Sharp, he read a script alive in I think it was Alive in Seattle at that point,
Hmm.
which then became the web series that also was not released. But Sharp read it like he was in his room and I was watching probably like some like random, you know, like Hornets Jazz or something game. And he came out. He's like, "This is good." And he was so surprised, but it was like literally, genuinely, didn't even try to hide his surprise. This is what I do with his career. It's going to be, you'll read it and there's jokes and it's about based on Ben Simmons' family's life and it's fun. And I hope you guys like it. It goes to charity.
Well, yeah, and it's a part of Ricky history, as I said.
A big part of Ricky history.
Well, I mean, think for a year you didn't even criticize Ben Simmons. It was like you were neutral on that. That is part of Ricky history. All right. Without any further ado, Amos and the Chef.
Larry, sweetie, the man is here.
Say the name. I say the name. I say the name. We were right, y'all. We were right. Even when it went wrong, we were right. We was right, y'all. We were right. So say the name. Say the name. We were right, y'all. We were right. Even when it went wrong, we were right. We were right, y'all. We were right. So say the name. 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 I say the name. I say the name, mama. Say the name.
The lights tricky Sanchez forever.
Welcome to the Rights Ricky Sanchez podcast. I'm Spike Eskin, along with a guy who has seen our 4 new T-shirts, and I am curious whether he thinks that we have fully gone off the deep end with these. That is Mike Levin.
I did tweet I think I tweeted some criticism about Ben Simmons at one point, and Pat texted me. He was like, "I think just take it down." And I was like, "But I'm mad because of this game." He's like, "Yeah, I think just take it down." And I was like, "Okay." So I did.
So the big question to start: do you want to talk sumo with Sam Kravitz?
Oh,
Are we there yet?
The question every year. No,
Okay, not yet.
not yet.
Before we get to the NBA restart, our Apple Podcast 5-star review of the week. You'll love this one. We're at 2,684 on our way to 3,000. The subject line is trash. 1 star. Listen to the Ricky since day one when it had Philly football in the feed. That was my old podcast, but can't anymore. It's just a snake eating its own tail now. Now, Mike, I ask you, hasn't this podcast always been a snake eating its own tail?
Are we in Ouroboros? We were not in Ouroboros before, and now we are.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I don't see any difference. It's always been a snake eating its own
I'm
tail.
surprised you're crediting it. It's encouraging more people to give 1-star reviews.
No, I don't want 1 star. I mean, rip us, but give it 5-star. I guess that's what I would say.
It's only fair.
Yeah. So a call happened on Friday night that, according to, I can't even get all the reporting straight. Chris Haynes from Yahoo was reporting some of this.
Yeah.
Shams, obviously, it's the same people, Woj, all those, that contained about 80 NBA and WNBA players that wanted to talk about the return to basketball. The most vocal voices, and I'm sorry for not crediting specifically who did it, I just don't remember, but the most vocal voices were Kyrie Irving, Dwight Howard, Carmelo Anthony. So before the call happened, Kyrie seemed like he was the impetus for this happening. One of the quotes from Chris Haynes said that was Kyrie saying something about systemic racism and that, quote, something seems fishy, which is I'm not laughing at the systemic racism part. I'm laughing at the something seems fishy because it is a very YouTube comment about something that would normally not be fishy.
Sure.
and they had this call on Friday night. So one of the things that we keep seeing in the Woj reporting is that it is only recently that the players learned how restrictive it would be in the in there, and that was a lot of players who were not were part of the teams who were not did not have a chance at a championship. To me, this entire thing reeks of like an internal union issue in that so you're in a union. I used to be in a union. I used to be in the same union that you're in, actually. And it sort of reminds me of like terms of service agreements that you click yes when online. There's so many members, and the number of people who actually read when they get sent an agreement is very small. And it sort of seems like what happened from afar. And then we'll get to like the social justice issue of this, because I think there are a lot of different levels. But from afar, what it seems like happened is everyone's like, yeah, let's go ahead and do it. And then as news started coming out about what it would be like there, that's when people were like, wait a minute, what is going on here? And it was the first time they had heard of it. I don't know if it's because they didn't listen or read, or because they weren't told, or something like that. But to me, that's what the problem seems like. The genesis of the issue is a communication within the union.
Oh, I thought you were gonna keep going. Sorry.
Oh no.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's another example of how players are not a monolith, and black people are not a monolith. You can't just get every person thinks this. This certainly, just on this specific issue of what, how the playoffs should be played and how the quarantine in Orlando should be handled. It's complicated, and like people's lives are on the line. And I totally agree with, Lou Williams was tweeting about it. I totally agree with the idea that, like, I think this was Lou that said this.
The distraction stuff was Lou.
Well, yeah, there's the distraction stuff, but even on the other hand, it's like, there's a gladiator tinge to this, as far as, hey, all you athletic guys, predominantly black, go down to this area of the country. You can't move when you're there. You can have this many people, and then come out when we want you to like do athletic things. I see like the optics of that are not great. And if I was one of the people being told to do that, I'd be like, well, you fucking do it then. Like I see why that's frustrating. And then compounded with the fact that the country is having this moment where we're all being forced to watch black people being shot by police. And it continues to happen. I think last night or the night before, another black man was shot by police in Atlanta for sleeping at a Wendy's. And people are protesting, what Lou was saying is, if we go back, everybody wants us to go back and play. Then all of a sudden you're not out in the streets marching. Then you're not paying attention. Then things do go back to normal. And when things go back to normal, then there's a malaise and things won't change the way they need to be changed. And I get that, and that's a lot of responsibility for them to put on their shoulders. And I respect that a lot. I also respect the guys who are like, well, if we're the only sport that people are watching, this whole country is watching this, then that would amplify our platform.
Right. There are different ways to look at it.
Absolutely. I think it's a really complicated issue, and that's why when people like this, this is just the whole Orlando plan, this Disney hostage crisis, NBA playoffs, I can't imagine it happening, and I haven't.
It's going to happen
the whole time. I don't know, man.
I think
I don't think we're going to get basketball or baseball this season. I think it's too complicated. It's too insane. There's too many people that are even taking out the issue of police violence. That even if that wasn't the case, which it obviously is, there's so many moving parts, and like one thing has to happen for everyone to be like, and the coronavirus is still here, and it's like it's escalating in Florida, and it's getting worse everywhere because the reopenings happened too early and without any like contact trace. I understand why leagues had to like plan for this and what they're trying to do, and I get it, but like at a certain point, it's like what are we doing?
Well, I'll tell you what we're doing is that and this is the entire conversation about it. And I think sometimes when we talk about money, like money is livelihood. Like there is a like we're just talking about like it's not just about bank accounts all the time, right? The livelihood of people, and I think that's one of the things that gets left out with like the people who want to go back to work is the idea of I do not know what my future is like if I do not go back to work and earn money so I can make a living, so I can pay my bills, so I can yada yada yada.
And there's a difference between what Anthony Davis is making versus what guys like
Garrett
Tyler
Temple.
Quinn is making.
Yeah, right. Right. And it becomes and to your point about not everybody in the union agreeing, like that's what unions are like. Like and what it does is, and I'm actually glad they had the conversation on Friday night. Right, like this all should be talked out, but what the way that it works is that you have some sort of infrastructure, and it's different in every union as to like what the vote has to be for things to go forward, and then you either agree to go forward or you don't. And if you don't agree with the final decision, you have two choices really. Like you can voice your disagreement and go ahead and do it, or you can just not do it and then not be part of not get paid or or whatever. That's all part of it. So the idea that people can't disagree during the process and then come to a decision that not everybody's going to be happy with every contract. Mm-hmm. Every union, non-union, there's going to be things in both sides that not everybody is happy with. I think there is a good percentage of players who are like we're all worried about their safety. I think there's a good percentage of players who are like, fuck it, like I want to be able to go out. And I can't go out if I'm in Disney World. And I think there's a good percentage of players like Carmelo who are like, I've made $250 million in my career. Like I'm on a team that might be in the 8th seed. And why am I doing this? And that's a totally valid concern. But the reason that I do believe that they're going to be sports is that the livelihood, to your point, to varying degrees, but the livelihood of a lot of people depend on it, and they have advantages because of the money that it generates that most people that are going to physical work right now don't have. That is testing. That is the ability to say, okay, everybody gets to stay in a hotel. Like there's an argument to be made that a lot of the players who are there may be even safer than if they weren't there. Now, like the idea of being in there for 3 months may not be attractive to them, and that I understand as well. Some players might not care. So we'll see. I think that what you said is a possibility that they don't play. But I also and to the point about and there are two sides to it. To the point about the protests and the social justice part of it, like. A lot of people that go to protests, and the reason that protests I think are so valuable and meaningful is that it gives people who do not have a voice by their numbers, right? Like it's 30,000 people. Every one person in that 30,000 person protest or 50,000 person protest may not have a big enough voice. They may have, 280 followers on Twitter and aren't famous or whatever. They don't have a voice, but together they have a voice. The difference, I would say, that with the NBA is they do have a voice, right? So you have to ask yourself, and I don't know what the answer to this question is, what makes their voice, like what makes it more meaningful and reach more people? And is the correct play? And again, I don't know the answer. What's more meaningful? All of these players not playing, and maybe going to protest, maybe not going to protest? Or do they tell the NBA, hey, 10 minutes before every game, we want this show to happen about this, and the proceeds benefit this. And at halftime, we want 5 minutes of halftime to be able to talk about this. And in post-game, we want this, and so on and so forth. Like, they have power, right? Like, real power to put pressure. I would say that Michelle Roberts is probably the best union head in all of sports. Seeing what Tony Clark is doing as opposed to what she does, like she basically controls the league in a lot of ways. Like she has won over Adam Silver in a lot of ways, and I think they could pressure the league into doing that. So I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen, and I don't know what the right answer is. I do like that one of the things that came out of it was that whatever they decide, they're going to like sort of decide together and move forward with, which is what a union should do, whatever the decision is. So I don't know what it would be.
I don't know the right answer. for sure. As far as like, this is an unprecedented cultural moment where this many people in this many cities and small towns are marching for against police violence and against police violence against Black people, and things are starting to change, not in a way that I would say that they need to, but at least you're starting the, in LA, police budgets have gone up and up and up, like every single time, and the cuts that they're making now are just to go back to like 2019 levels of what they were making. And so, but now at least it's not, the forward momentum is starting to stop, and it's like, okay, well, let's actually reassess what we want police to do. What is their role in society? And it shouldn't be killing us, and it shouldn't be just locking people up forever for which costs a lot of money and is not actually rehabilitating. It's like, let's actually have the conversation, and let's make sure that that our city councils, and in some cases federally, are actually doing something about it. So that is indisputably good, and we'll see how good it gets. But I get, if you're the NBA, if you're a player in the NBA and you care about it, like I was listening to Malcolm Brogdon on your boy JJ Redick's podcast, and I really thought that Tommy wasn't on the podcast. I was like, probably good that they didn't have Tommy on. And then all of a sudden he chimes in. I was like, oh wow. But it's these guys care about it. Like, this is, there are a lot of it. There's been I read this. What's the book called? Crap! It was a Jackie McMullen book that came out a couple years ago. I don't know, it was just the history of the NBA, and it talked about, like, it went into like the racism of the 50s and 60s and 70s. And there were always guys that gave a shit about this, and then there are guys that didn't. That are like, I'm just gonna get, Michael Jordan for a long time was not vocal about this kind of thing. But now the collective amount of NBA players that have a voice, that have a platform, and that have the balls to just say, like, no, I'm going to stand up for this, including like the WNBA players who've done a lot. Maya Moore, I read an article from Chris Herring in 538 about Maya Moore and how much she's sacrificed to like commit to the fight that she's in and we're all in. And so I just like so respect what they're doing and how much they're willing to put their careers on the line to give a shit about this. And I get why, even what you said about like, okay, this is the programming that has to be. We get to wear these shirts and we get to have sideline interviews and talk about this. Is that more, and making it about themselves, is that more than what the country is already doing, like through grassroots?
Yeah, I don't know.
Through Black Lives Matter, and actually hitting the streets and actually like, protesting at mayors' houses and saying like, we need you to do this, versus like if everybody's home watching a game and they have to like, sit through 10 minutes of like, here's what police violence is like, guys can just like mute that and like kind of walk away. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Or is it both? Is it, we had Ike on last week, who I think is a good example of somebody who has a platform, cares deeply, used his platform to talk about it. And then I thought it was cool. He posted pictures. He told me on Friday that in his, like, he lives in deep South Jersey, like in his South Jersey suburban town, there was like a protest and a march yesterday that was planned. And like, who knows how any of it works. The last 3 months of our lives have been really hard to predict. And I think this is too. I think if they just have the conversation and go about it, whatever's in their heart, I think is probably the right answer.
Yeah. And that's what you, like you said, that's what unions should be doing. Like at the couple years ago, the WGA was considering going on strike because studios have just fucked us for years, and so it was like, if we don't get the negotiations for the next agreement, it was like, here's what we're trying to get, and here's some things that we're focusing on, and like the negotiating committee doesn't share everything with its members, because then they can then go to the press and everything. So, but it's like, here's generally what we want. And then we have like these town halls where everybody comes together and you get to like say something if you want, or you can just listen, whatever. And it's weird because, similar to the NBA, there's all different kinds of writers in the Writers Guild, especially the Writers Guild West. East has like journalists and stuff. We don't have journalists in this. This is TV writers, feature writers, that kind of thing. But some are like, Mike Schur and Kenya Barris and like guys that make like millions and are the boss. They're the boss of the other writers in the room, like showrunners, versus like and kind of like the way LeBron is. Like he's like essentially the boss of like, Alex Caruso and Avery Bradley. Like he's their boss basically. And so he's the one at a different scale negotiating for this kind of thing, and then the people that are making, that they sold one script and all of a sudden they're in the writer's guild, but they're still living like paycheck to paycheck or like still living off of that one sale that they had, are like, hey, I want this, but like the showrunner of, whatever, CSI New York or whatever is like, we should be doing this kind of thing. It's like, well, you guys want different things because you're on such different playing fields, and so it's bizarre that in a union there are conflicting interests in that way anyway. So it's about them having the conversation, and some people have to, what's best for sometimes the creator of CSI or whatever is not what's best for the person that's, a staff writer that's like sharing a salary and all that kind of stuff. So it's like, who's going to make sacrifices? Who's going to say like what is right for this? Right. And so it's different, in the NBA in that they're not negotiating salaries right now. But if they don't play, then it does become they would rip up the CBA and negotiate again. So then the salary cap would go down, and that would affect players for a number of years. So it's a complicated thing, and I'm certainly not qualified to tell them what they should be doing. But I respect and appreciate that they're having like a bird's eye view of this thing and saying like, what is the best for the world? And like, imagine that, it takes a lot to really consider that. And so I respect it a lot.
And like I said, I think they've got a good leader in Michelle Roberts. And to like the thing with the union is the same, like where I am. Like think about the fact that Angelo and Ike and Jack Fritz are all in the same union. When there's it's just not the same world, it's not the same world. But they, the point is to have, when we all vote, we all want something different for ourselves. Like it's sort of the same thing. So, our sponsor, Mike, before we continue, we get onto Carl Landry Record Club, Big Barker Therapeutic Dog Beds, bigbarker.com/Ricky, bigbarker.com/Ricky. Few people have asked me, they have not heard Rebel bark on the podcast for a long time. So the issue here is that we have moved the podcast recording from Saturday mornings to Sunday mornings. And what doesn't happen on Sunday, Mike? Mail. So what used to happen was around 11:30, the mailman would come and he would go fucking nuts. And we've been doing it on Sundays. So if playoffs does come back and we have to do it on a Saturday morning, then you'll hear Rebel again. A bunch of new process pups the last few months because
seems fishy.
It is a shame that Kyrie brought up something for such an important issue, because it makes it harder to make fun of him, which I like to do. I did think it was funny in the Woj article that they were like, in the first call, he was asking about like if he'd be able to go to the sauna, even though he's
that Woj article was pretty savage. In a way that I haven't seen Woj be towards his players since like 2010 LeBron.
Yep. He was so savage against LeBron. A ton of process pups coming in over the last few months. Tilly, who is a new one. Tilly lives in Philly. Finn in Scarsdale. Lexi in Richmond Hill, Virginia. Go to writesrickysanchez.com/processpups. You can see how fucking high class these beds are and supportive and good for your dog. And then go to bigbarker.com/Ricky. Bigbarker.com/Ricky. You'll get your Big Barker dog bed with 2 process pup patches. Big Barker dog bed's been around for years now. The only real dog bed on the market. I was telling my mom the other day, we were, was it yesterday? I went over there, stayed 10 feet away from my mom, but she's got 4 dogs and no Big Barker. And I was like, you got to get one of them, Jack. Jack's older. He's like 13. He's got creaky joints. I was like, you got to get Jack a Big Barker. And she's like, well, I got him this bed. I saw the bed. I was like, nah, that's bullshit. It's not a real bed. Bullshit. What's that?
Bullshit.
Total bullshit. Only
big. Got him a bullshit bed.
Yeah, I know. Like, they're doing fine. Fucking get a real bed. Come on. Big Barker, the only real dog bed on the market. BigBarker.com/Ricky is where you go. Engineered by experts to keep your dog's joints feeling good. young, old, small, big, whatever. It's the only real dog bed on the market. 10-year warranty. The foam doesn't flatten or they replace it for free. Local company. Corporate and the manufacturing all happens right here in the Delaware Valley. 1 year at-home trial. If you don't like it, your dog doesn't like it, send it back. They'll even pay for the shipping. Big Barker dog beds.
Oh, they're gonna cue me.
Oh, I cued you. Bark. Oh, Big Barker dog beds. Time to do the Carl Landry Record Club. We skipped it on Wednesday because we had some technical issues. We had Ike on, and I didn't think Ike knew anything about Sheer Mag, so we just skipped it. The album this week, selected by AU, is Sheer Mag's A Distant Call. Sheer Mag is from Philly, a classic rocky sounding band. Sort of reminds me of early AC/DC. They're an interesting combination of like a classic rock sound, but their lyrics are very punky, very like pro-labor. Not what you would expect from a classic rock band that sound is normally like songs about drinking and girls. But it's a female singer. I guess it could still be about girls, but I think the lyrics are definitely more socially conscious. I respect Sheer Mag. I can't stand the music at all, honestly. I got about 90. I got two very heartfelt emails about Sheer Mag. One from a listener explaining why he didn't think it worked, and one from somebody who loves Sheer Mag and was worried about what I was going to say about it. I basically can't stand any band that sounds like classic rock. It doesn't work for me unless it's actually one of those bands. And I got about a minute and a half into it, and I was like, oh no. So this is not my thing at all, though I respect them.
Yeah, I kind of dug it. I think I might have used Sheer Mag, actually, a song, or almost used it in Alive in Denver, because my director likes them a lot. I think I liked it. I had it on, and I was just like kind of into it. I think it's not my genre generally, but I liked her voice. There's certainly like a lot of feeling in there, a lot of it was an intense listening experience. So maybe not an all the time thing, but I was like, yeah, all right, I can listen to anything. I have nothing to add to these conversations. I have not a single thing. I'm like, yeah, so pretty good. A couple songs I really liked.
Well, we always provide different perspective. It was funny. I texted AU's coworker and our friend Jason, and I was like, AU seems surprised that I hate Sheer Mag, and he was like, when I heard it, I was like, oh no, Spike's gonna hate that. And he sent me a song. He was like, of all the Sheer Mag songs, you like this one. And he sent it to me, and I was like, nope, absolutely not. And I want to give credit to, and I let him pick the next record because I thought the email was good. Credit to Andrew Levengood, who sent an email about why I probably didn't like Sheer Mag. He said, like many bands before them, Sheer Mag is out to capture something that doesn't exist or can't exist anymore. Countless bands in the last decade have tried to sound like 1975 to 85, but failed to see why the music can't sound like that. With improvements in sound recording and mixing, digital music does not have the same texture that music did in the past, for better or worse. I think that is
That's what I said.
What's that?
That's what I just said.
Yeah.
All of those things exactly.
Yeah, he said, no matter how much the lead singer tries to sound like Lita Ford, she will never have the same feeling in her music because of when the sound hit the mic. There are other components to the outside of the actual equipment, yada, yada, yada. The only musicians from the 70s and 80s to see success in the 90s and beyond changed their sound to adjust with the changing times. Artists like David Bowie and Bruce Springsteen are prime examples of this. So Andrew, who also lives in Tampa, and can give us recommendations if we have to send Sixers Adam to Disney World. Wow. So look, if you like like Greta Van Fleet, if you like Wolf Mother, if you like Black Keys, if you like bands that sound classic rocky, you'll probably like Sheer Mag. I do not.
I don't think that they sounded like Black Keys.
Well, I don't think they sound like Black Keys, but I think it is trying to capture a similar vibe as Black Keys. I think it draws from the same influence, though I do not think. I think whereas the Black Keys probably draw from more Zeppelin and Doors, maybe, I think Greta Van Fleet draws sound-wise from AC/DC, I think. But to me, that's where it's at. The new record, and this comes from Andrew, is another Philadelphia one. So no, not Philadelphia. I'm sorry. 2 in a row. Not Philadelphia. I'm sorry. I'm getting all confused. Andrew asked for "Local Honey" by Brian Fallon. So Brian Fallon is the singer of the Gaslight Anthem, famously described by me as a band that sounds like Bruce Springsteen but is better than Bruce Springsteen. Brian Fallon's new album, Local Honey. So that comes from Andrew. You have 1 week to listen to Brian Fallon's Local Honey. It's probably better that we do it on Sundays too, because we don't have guests on Sundays. You have 1 week to listen to that. Butch Walker actually produced not this record, but 2 records ago from Brian Fallon. So Brian Fallon's Local Honey is the new one, the Carl Landry Record Club album of the week. I look forward to your it's pretty good take on the Brian Fallon record.
That's probably what you'll get.
So we have, let's do one mailbag question, and then we'll get to Sixers Adam.
Sure. Quick announcement, because I feel like we've talked a lot about television this week. Perfect Harmony was canceled.
I'm sorry.
No, it's not. It was there was a chance that they, because of the pandemic and didn't get to shoot pilots, there was a chance that they would pick it up. But the ratings were never great. And yeah, so we found out a little bit ago, but they announced it officially sometime last week. So that's fine. You can still watch it on. I think you can still watch it on Hulu. It's a nice show. It's cute. I would still recommend it. Funny and musical. I'm still on Young Rock, which is very cool, and that should hopefully start filming at some point, and be on in the fall or early like spring or something like that. But yeah, and who knows if this lands, but anytime I have an episode, I try to sneak in some references. So there's, in at least my writer's draft of my Young Rock episode, there's a bunch of Temple basketball references.
Oh, wow. I like that.
We'll see how that holds up.
Well, rest in peace, Perfect Harmony. Another, I'll tell you, throughout the Ricky, there's been a lot of Mike shows.
Yeah. A lot of shows get canceled. That's what they do.
Well, that's how it works. That's how it works, right?
How it works.
Yeah. Okay, Lorenzo Brown. Well, rest in peace, Perfect Harmony. But on the internet forever. Not so, or at least
until they take it down.
At least until they take it down. Lorenzo Brown Mailbag. Send us emails. writesrickysanchez@gmail.com. This comes from Matt. The subject line was "In defense of Cincinnati sports fandom."
Oh wow.
Hey guys, just listened to your episode with Ike Reese, and though I felt like the good-natured ribbing of Ike for growing up a Lakers fan was well-deserved, as a Cincinnati-raised Sixers fan, I felt like I should give a little background to NBA fandom in Southwest Ohio. We may not have a ton of success, but Cincinnati is a town of hardcore sports fans. Our MLB and NFL allegiances are obvious, as well as college football and basketball. The yearly crosstown shootout between the University of Cincinnati and Xavier is one of the most contentious in college basketball.
Totally respect Cincinnati-Xavier rivalry.
Yep. And while we have a rich history with pro basketball, who is my favorite University of Cincinnati basketball player? Danny Fortson.
Yancey Gates.
Another good one. While we have a rich history with pro basketball, including Oscar Robertson, Jerry Lucas, Maurice Stokes, and Wayne Embry, all Hall of Famers, the Royals left in 1972 with no natural NBA team for Cincinnati fans to convert to. As a loyal Cincinnatian, we would never root for anything from Cleveland. See this on-field speech from former Bengals coach Sam Wyche, if you haven't. And while Indianapolis is technically the closest NBA city, no one in Cincinnati feels connected to the Pacers merely because of geography. I myself grew up a Sonics fan because of Sean Kemp. The Sonics move to OKC put me in NBA purgatory for many years until the hiring of Sam Hinkie. Finally, there was an NBA GM doing what I as a fan would do if given the chance. Becoming a Sixers fan was a natural move, in part because of Sam, but also because of the city of Philadelphia. World-class restaurants, art museum, and American history all fed into my personal interests. So a question from Matt.
Wait, read the next line. The next line is nice.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I was just trying to get to it. The rabid fan base, including the Murderers Row at Liberty Ballers at the time,
yes,
And the emergency of Rights Ricky Sanchez podcast only cemented my fandom.
There you go. We get a 1-star review. Can't even say the nice line.
Yeah. Also, the grinder was probably my favorite. No, just kidding. We all have our reasons to root for teams. I'm a basketball nerd who converted to the Church of Sam Hinkie. Ike hated the Celtics and wanted to root for the rival. Some people have outspoken fathers and choose to root for the Knicks just to spite them. All seem legitimate to me. Love you, Matt.
Fair enough.
My question for you is, if you didn't have an NBA city, who would you personally root for, and what do you think what would the rules be for that? Like, what would you take into account?
Well, I totally get the Sean Kemp Sonics.
Yeah.
I would definitely
they were
do that.
incredible.
Love a good color. Come on.
Mm-hmm.
And I would probably do it the way I do college basketball, which is I just root for guys I like. And like vibe.
Change every year as far as teams because
I don't. There's a couple. I mean, I'll root for all. I'll root for all Philly teams in college basketball. I don't have an allegiance there. Temple being the first one for my dad, but yeah, I like ball. So I think my life would probably be better if the Sixers didn't exist, and I just was a pure basketball fan. I could be the guy that Kevin O'Connor purports to be.
Well, speaking of which, if there were no Sixers, he would just be called Adam. That is Sixers Adam. Welcome, Sixers Adam. Of course, always brought to us by Process Realtor, Adam Kasabi. We'll get to that in a moment. How you doing, Sixers Adam?
Doing well. How are you doing?
Great to see you.
Good to see you.
Look at you there. In
Yeah.
the wild.
So, Sixers Adam working on his trade piece. What do you have? You have 2 more divisions left?
2 more after this week's. Yeah.
And then his magnum opus for the Ricky is on the way as well.
Yes.
Yes, it is.
That's what I'm very much looking forward to.
So Sixers Adam, Mike does not know what we're about to talk about. I only told him that you had texted me a question that was obviously an opinion of yours that you just wanted to know my feeling on. Could you read the text to Mike?
Yep.
And this came, Mike, I want to say, this came apropos of absolutely nothing. Sixers and Adam and I were not talking. There was nothing going on.
No.
I just got this text message.
Okay.
I texted Spike on Friday night. I said, be honest. What would make you happier? This Sixers team winning the Disney playoffs or Robert Covington becoming an NBA champion? And we agreed that the answer is Covington, and it's not close.
I disagree. It's the Sixers.
So Sixers Adam, this is not a surprising opinion for me, but could you explain why a Robert Covington championship this year at Disney hostage playoffs would make you happier than a Sixers championship?
Well, I mean, Robert Covington being like the acquisition that puts a team over the top would be fairly vindicating in a way that like this. I guess there were nothing that would be more vindicating than a Joel Embiid championship, obviously.
Right.
But with this weird Sixers team with this horrible season in some like fluky way that they win the title versus Covington like having some sort of big NBA Finals performance, swinging a game and winning a series, that feels like that would trigger retweet Armageddon, and that's what I texted Spike.
Yes, he wants another retweet Armageddon.
Sure.
Because the last one went so well.
It did, and we're still celebrating. Look, obviously love Covington. If it's not the Sixers, the Rockets would definitely be a team that I'd be very happy to let win. I just think it would be Harden and Russ would get 90% of the credit. Like, it wouldn't be like there's all these retrospectives on television about like how Covington was the difference maker and stuff.
Yeah, but here that's what we would say.
Of course. Well, we say that anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess it's true.
I guess in like it wouldn't be crossover appeal. I mean, he was on an all defense team last year, right?
2 years ago.
2 years ago.
2 years ago.
And so we've already had that, and that's hey, recognize how good he is. And now that the Rockets are playing him at center, and he's doing everything, is already great. So like we've already been vindicated. Covington's. I mean, he's so far gone as far as like obviously he's very good.
I'll tell you, it's
already
controversial. Yeah, I believe that it's controversial, even with Covington still, even within Sixers world, I believe is polarizing though. Mike, let me ask you this, and I believe the answer will be the same. But what if the Rockets won the championship and Covington hit a Robert Horry style game-winning three in the deciding game? Like, does that change your opinion at all?
No. Because I think it's going to happen. I think that would actually, I mean, that's not even, when you said he wins the championship, it's like, well, obviously he plays a huge role.
Right.
He has 16, 8, 3, 3, and 3. In my mind, I mean, I know that our bit is that we don't care. I know that for a long time, it's been like we care more about the process guys than anything else. But Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons and Korkmaz and Shake and all these guys that we love, them winning a title would and Brett, come on, ultimate. It's not even close. I love Covington. I wish him nothing but the best, but I think you guys are twisting yourself in a knot to not give Joel Embiid a championship here.
Well, I can only imagine the series of Instagram photos for the off season if Ben Simmons were to win a championship. Now, there was I sent Sixers Adam an Instagram screenshot of a recent Ben Simmons photo that had a photo of him and Alex Subers in the workout thing and tagged a different photographer. And I was like, Adam, this is one of Ben Simmons' photographers taking a picture of Ben Simmons and another one of his photographers. I can only imagine how many of them would be commissioned for that off season. It would be big. It would be really big.
That's a perk, man. I would do it.
It is. I'm not saying I wouldn't do it, Sixers Adam, yes or no question. Do you believe that the Orlando playoffs will happen?
Yeah, it seems like they will. Whether they should is obviously a different question, but it seems like it will.
And then my other question to you, now there was the story that came out that if writers were to go and be covering the Disney World hostage playoffs, that they would be there for 3.5 months. And you sent it to me and you were like, seems like there's a chance. The question being, if the playoffs went to October 12th, you could be locked in there until October 12th. And of course you start at Temple in September.
Yeah.
So if I get you, this is recorded now, and maybe we can get that Temple journalism guy that's on Twitter to get approval for you. If we do get approval to send you to Disney World and get you locked in there, are you committing to staying as long as the Sixers are playing? Oh!
As long as the Sixers play. Committing.
Pretty big.
Pretty big.
Who would you miss your parents?
They listen to the podcast, so yes.
Well, Sixers Adam, I hope to send you to Disney World, and I hope. Could you imagine? So Sixers Adam, you're saying even if the Rockets were playing the Sixers in the finals, you would rather the Rockets win?
Well, the easy answer is that the Sixers have no chance of making the finals, so it doesn't even matter.
Right.
But I'm not going to be able to root against Joel in the finals.
Oh,
So
wow.
It's fun to say, but it's not close. And it ain't close.
It would be tough.
Yeah.
It would be tough. That's what I'm saying.
Well, we thank you, Adam.
Yes, thank you.
And thank you to Adam's parents.
Yeah, and thank you to Adam's parents. You're the best,
Right.
Adam.
I would love any if this happens, if we get Sixers Adam to be quarantined in hostage Disney, then I would need just constant updates.
Oh, yeah.
Every step of the way I want.
Yeah, well,
Daily pods. Are you serious? Like just to see
Yeah,
him.
I want a documentary crew following just Adam around.
yeah. Well, when I texted Spike originally about this when we were texting, he said that the one condition was that I would have to write down every food I eat the entire time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would need it all. I would need it all for sure.
All right, buddy.
How about the
All
shirts?
right, thank you.
Oh, well, I don't want to talk about them until they're actually released, but we will say that 2 of the new shirts coming, there are 4 new shirts coming this week. 2 of them are Sixers Adam related. Like, let's just say that. They're Sixers Adam related.
Which is absurd.
Yeah, they're must-have shirts. I would say that all 4 are must-haves, but the two Sixers Adam ones are definitely must-haves.
Finally, Adam achieving his goal of being a food guy.
Yeah. All right, buddy.
Thanks,
All
man.
right, go Rockets. Bye-bye.
Go Rockets. See you later. Sixers Adam, brought to you by Adam Kasabi, another Adam, the Process Realtor. We don't have total. So the first Adam Kasabi Process Realtor, processrealtor.com sale to a Rights Ricky Sanchez listener has happened. It doesn't close until July 7th. So I can't say the name of the person who bought the house. But you have seen the name of the person that bought the house, and it is shocking.
I have?
Yeah, I texted it to you at one point. Yeah, I want you to see the name.
I can act as if I'm shocked again.
Well, no, hold on. Let me. Can I even chat? Yeah, hold on.
I'm scrolling up through my internet's died.
I'm gonna write
My
it to
internet's
you
totally
now.
died.
There you
that
go.
Text.
I just sent it. It should be in the chat if you can see the chat
The
up on the
chat.
screen. Is it up there?
Oh, right. Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah, that is shocking.
Yeah. So this
For
person.
a number of reasons. Very shocking.
Yes, this we'll be able to reveal that soon, probably within a month or so. Adam Kasabi, the official realtor of the process. Look, I will say that he sold him a house in downtown Lewis, which is Lewis is my favorite beach town in Delaware. If you have any realtor type,
That's such a sexy name for a beach town.
Lewis, yeah. Well, at least it's spelled Lewes, so I didn't even know how it was pronounced at first.
Okay.
Great, but like my favorite of the Delaware beaches. But I will say, before we get to Adam and what he specifically does, if you have any realtor questions at all, if you're buying a house, if you're refinancing, anything, anywhere, call him and let him help you. He can't sell you a house anywhere, but he can get you to a person who can give you advice. So the number is 302-864-8643 or adam@processrealtor.com. You can also text him at 302-864-8643. His specialty, Delaware beaches. I was trying to sell my parents on a Delaware beach house the other day when I was over there. Like, taxes are...
Anything to get Howard out of Philly.
Yeah. He is walking, by the way, since quarantine... He's walking between 10 and 13 miles a day.
Wow.
Yeah, it's fucking wild. He hasn't. His beard is like. I saw him on Saturday. His beard is like Castaway beard. It's enormous. I just. It's very strange what's going on. But I was trying to get them to Delaware. The reasons for buying a beach house in Delaware as opposed to Jersey are numerous. First of all, owning a beach house rather than renting one, you just rent it out the rest of the year. It basically pays the mortgage, and then you own a home. You can go there whenever you want. The other thing is that the taxes in Delaware are nothing. The property taxes, you're talking $500, $1,000, $1,500 a whole year. And when you're talking like in Jersey, you're talking about, $10,000 a year, $12,000 a year. That's an enormous difference. Adam can help you out. He's your guy. And mortgage rates are super low. Now, if you can afford it, now is the time to buy. And think about, dude, if you live in a city, think about being able to go to your own like beach retreat now and being able to like be away from everybody. Now is the time to do it. Delaware beaches are the place to do it, whether it's Rehoboth or Lewis or Bethany or Dewey, any of those places. He's your guy. 302-864-8643, 302-864-8643, or email adam@processrealtor.com. That's Adam Kasabi, Ksebe, the official realtor of the process. Let's go back to the mailbag. This comes from Kyle in Vermont? No, I scrolled down too far. This comes from Dan. Hey guys, so I know it's been a month since the Jordan doc ended, but I can't stop thinking about how a player like that would be treated in this era. If LeBron James was known for knocking out his teammates, I'm not sure if Quinn Cook or Danny Green would have been so eager to join him this past offseason. Now imagine the GOAT on the Sixers. We all know that Shake Milton would obviously become the Scottie Pippen of the team, especially when next year he accepts a 4-year, $6.75 million extension. He says he doesn't deserve to get the big bucks until he wins another Finals MVP. Anyway, I think the most intriguing interpersonal dynamic in a Jordan on the Sixers scenario would have to be his relationship with Ben Simmons. More specifically, Ben Simmons and his apprehension towards social distancing plus jump shots. How would Ben's development and psyche over the first 3 years of his playing career be morphed? I feel like the the obvious answer would be for the worse, i.e. Kwame Brown. Maybe in some weird universe, it gives him confidence to shoot in games. Maybe he's so forceful with his encouragement of Ben to shoot that it makes him comfortable to let it fly. What do you think? Would love to hear your input. And remember, the Trust the Process Sixers are destined to win the first NBA Finals ever held in an empty suburban Orlando YMCA gym. In the near future, the NBA has to abandon the Disney resorts once it becomes public knowledge that the league was paid impermissible benefits by Disney Corporation.
That's a fun trick.
Yeah, stay safe, stay healthy, and trust the process. Colin Vermont.
Local Orlando high schools.
So what do you think, Ben and Michael Jordan?
Yeah, I mean, they're just such a Mike is such an asshole.
Enormous asshole.
And I think that even in ways the documentary just didn't show. A lot of ways it came off as good-natured ribbing, and it just that just wasn't the case a lot of the time. And Ben is such a modern player, at least a modern personality. I don't know. I don't think it would go well. I think if there was the closest, okay, so Kobe, right? There's actually a really good, and I should have mentioned this. There's actually a really good Karan Butler podcast with Zach Lowe.
Yes,
I thought was really excellent. And Karan talks about his work in prisons and jails, and also talks about his relationship with Kobe, very separately. And I think Kobe really respected the work in a way that he was obviously a killer on the court, and obviously a psycho, and obviously just wanted to take every shot. But also the stuff about knowing the other teams plays and telling them on the court hey, you're in the wrong spot is really, really funny. And I think Jordan is a similar way. And so I think Ben is smart enough to think the game in that kind of way as well. And so I think there would be that level of respect. But there would be, that was a very loud sound. There would be the jump shot and the whatever's going on with the jump shot as far as willingness to take it or stubbornness or whatever, that would, I think, come to blows and not be a happy relationship.
So the impossible thing to figure out here is that they existed in two different times, in which one where everything was public and the other one where almost nothing was public.
Exactly.
And that to your point about Ben being the modern athlete or whatever, and his public persona is almost nothing and also heavily crafted. I don't say that insultingly in that we don't know anything about him, and all we know about him is very surface level, sort of produced stuff. And even the doc about him was that way. So it's impossible to know how
he is kind of just like that. He's kind of just like a kid,
right? But in his head, there's got to be something, right?
But in a similar way, as far as you talk about the pictures and the snarling emoji. That's for sure crafted in a way that a number of NBA players are crafted. But Jordan, the whole Jordan documentary was kind of a similar deal, which is this is what I want the people to see me as.
Right.
And I'm going to let them in this amount.
Yes, I would agree. So the question, I think there's two different answers, really. There's the, what if Ben Simmons played with him in 1995? And then what if Ben Simmons played with him in 2020 with Michael Jordan having to deal with 2020?
Right.
And the thing that makes it impossible to tell is what Michael Jordan would be like in 2020. Would he stop being that way because of the way that he would get criticized for it? Because I almost think it would be impossible for him to be that way. Look at how vilified, I don't know, Jimmy Butler sort of seems like he's that way. He's just not taken as seriously because he's not nearly as good,
Two winners.
Right. One best player of all time, the other one about top 32 player in the NBA currently. So I think it's really hard to tell. It's almost it's as impossible a question as trying to compare players from different eras, I think. But to your point, I think ultimately Ben would not deal well with somebody fucking berating him at practice every day. I just don't think it would work. This comes from Kyle in Vermont.
I wonder if Embiid would. I kind of think he would.
Yes, I think Embiid would.
I think they would probably get into a fight once or twice, but he would end up liking it.
Yeah, and I think Embiid would appreciate that leadership, actually, because I think there's a part of Embiid that wants to be ready for that, but knows that he's not, which is why he appreciated Butler. This comes from Kyle in Vermont. Hey, Spike and Mike, thanks for the pod. It's a fucking ray of sunshine. My wife, who's the world's least enthusiastic Furkan Korkmaz fan, said that you guys are fun because no matter what you're talking about, you're having a good time. Personally, I wish the pod had more statistics and math. I have questions. Basketball. You have to give asymptomatic coronavirus to one player on each of the remaining teams. They will be totally fine, but they cannot play in the playoffs.
They each infect one distant relative.
Yeah. We all know you don't want to do this, but you have to. We assume Joel already has it. Who do you give it to, and how well do you think the Sixers perform in the playoffs? So each of the remaining Eastern Conference teams, obviously on the Bucks, you give it to Giannis. On the Heat, who you give it to Jimmy Butler. On the Toronto Raptors, I would actually give it to Lowry.
You would?
I would.
I think he's pretty easily replaceable with Van Vliet, and they have a couple at least play. Like Terrence Davis can step in. I might give it to Marc Gasol.
Oh my God!
Like, get out of here! Just get out of here!
Right. That's
home.
Actually, but it doesn't matter. We don't have Embiid.
Oh, we don't have him?
Yeah, Embiid has it. So we lose Embiid. Everybody loses somebody.
Okay. I would give it to Siakam.
Okay. I think he's a fraud, actually, Siakam.
He's good. He's very good.
I think he's like a third best player on a championship team marauding as a second or first.
Well, he's getting better. I mean, like he's the difference between him last year and this year. Like he's just an incredibly special player in such an odd kind of herky-jerky way.
Mm-hmm.
And it's hard to get a read on those guys sometimes because he just like doesn't look like Brad Beal is like a central casting for like that's what a
basketball player
who like does the certain things looks like. And Siakam is like just kind of a little bit offbeat in an interesting way. But yeah.
So the Celtics. I mean, it's Tatum, isn't it?
No, I want to play Tatum. Give it to Jaylen Brown.
Okay.
And let Jaylen come. Jaylen can go do more police violence.
The other teams don't really.
Fuck Jason Tatum. Hate him. I can't wait for him to fail.
Indiana. Who would you give it to on Indiana? I would just give it to Oladipo, even though they haven't been as good with him there. In a playoff series, he worries me more than anybody else.
I'd probably give it to Brogdon.
TJ.
Yeah, TJ. So he can hang out with us.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you can make an argument for Sabonis because he's very good, but I'd probably give it to Brogdon.
Okay. So how do you...
people an illness that he said asymptomatic, but it could also affect their lungs for many years.
Well, but he's saying, I think what he's saying is he's just doing the take a person off. He's just using this as he's saying they'll be totally fine.
We have to kiss the mouth and coronavirus lipstick.
Who do you think wins that title?
I mean,
I think the Raptors do.
I think it's us.
Oh my God! Without Embiid?
Yeah, I mean, I think that you play Horford at the 5. That opens things up, and you throw another couple shooters in there. I think the benefit of having many very good players that sometimes don't fit together is you pull one of them out, and it's like, oh, this kind of fits a little more neatly. I think the Raptors with Lowry, Van Vliet, Terrence Davis, Anunoby, Ibaka, Gasol, like that's not a championship team. Yeah, the Bucks without Giannis are still good. Obviously,
Giannis.
they've
but they
done
can't win
well,
a championship.
but I don't think so.
No.
Boston maybe.
Well, Boston definitely, because they don't have a clear-cut number one.
People would say Tatum, but I want to beat Tatum. I want to watch Ben lock Tatum up.
And then his non-basketball question: when the season resumes, the Sixers will presumably have home games where they are designated the home team. if you are invited to ring the bell for one of these games, does it count? You have to do it on Zoom wearing masks.
Absolutely. I don't think that I love the idea that the NBA would still let like home teams get to do their like little ceremonies. I think there'd still be like would the Lakers still have like their pregame ceremonies and like all sorts of like shining lights and purple and gold colors and stuff just for no fans in the audience. That's fun. And I would definitely, if they asked me to ring the bell over Zoom, 100% I'm in.
On Zoom wearing masks is my favorite. Why do we have to wear a mask if we're fucking on Zoom? I don't understand.
Fine. Either way.
In all seriousness, thank you for keeping
we wear our Ricky mask.
Right. Oh, that would be a good idea. In all seriousness, thanks for keeping it going. As a small business owner, I want you to know that the good vibes you help put out help my community, and they help me stay partially sane. Much appreciated. Another Ben. There've been a lot of Ben questions. Hey, Mike and Spike. During my daily routine of waking up late for work and scrambling to my laptop before anyone notices, I thought of a basketball question for the pod. Could this quarantine style of basketball be the best thing for Ben Simmons' game? Ben notoriously only shoots three-pointers in empty gyms or warm-ups. Now all of the gyms will be mostly empty. Could this be a scenario where Ben gains the confidence to start shooting threes in a seemingly meaningless season? This is not a bad point. That I do think he's been bullied into it in front of home crowds, but I also think he's been scared of doing it in front of home crowds because he'll miss. Right. This is an interesting angle that I had not really even considered.
As long as we let him not wear a shirt when he plays, I think he takes them, and they should. Everybody knows who's on whose team. Yeah, no jerseys in this Orlando. Let them be shirtless if they want to be shirtless.
Nah, they should just do shirts and skins. And I think before Ben goes into the game, several push-ups and curls. So, right. Non-basketball question: are pants shorts? Aren't shorts just short pants? In Spanish, pants are pantalones and shorts are pantalones cortos. Shorts are so obviously in the family of
horrendous Spanish, Spike.
Sorry, I took 1 year of Spanish in college. Shorts are so obviously in the family of pants that I think it's ridiculous that anyone would think otherwise.
Yeah, I don't even know that this is up for debate.
Yeah, right?
When I say, hey, let me just put some pants on, if I put shorts on, no one would be like, holy shit.
What the fuck are you doing, man? I thought you said pants.
Yeah.
And finally, this comes from Chris from South Jersey. Love the pod. I'm a huge Sixers fan. Brett Brown, love Brett Brown, but realize he hasn't got a shot to keep his job. Listening to your thoughts on head coaches, one name always comes to mind that makes sense. I hadn't thought of this name. It's a good name. Sam Cassell. Great relationship with Elton, then super experienced as an assistant. He was a top 10 point guard for most of his career. Not to say that makes a huge difference, but I think it makes sense. Just a thought. Stay safe.
I like Sam Cassell.
Love Sam Cassell. Think of all the T-shirts, the Balls T-shirts or whatever.
I didn't like him as a player. I was very frustrated with him when he was in Milwaukee for a while. But he had an interesting career for sure. Would totally hear out Sam Cassell as a potential replacement. I would love to do I know this is just a me off the beaten path thing, but like it's always fucking point guards that get coaching jobs.
Yeah,
it's always point guards, and it's like there's a tall in my everyday life. Fuck a tall guy, who cares? They're tall, they can reach things. Get out of here. But in the head coaching things, it's like, well, they're getting a little discriminated against.
Ewing, we need Ewing.
Ewing's not doing a great job in Georgetown. People are transferring away from him.
Well, it's taken him so long to get a job, and then I don't know if he's a good coach or not, but players are transferring away from there, so he could use some success. But I would love a big guy that imagine showing up to a game and our head coach is like 6'9" and just like pulverizing Brad Stevens. 6'9", go for it, man. 7'2".
7'2".
Yeah, fuck it. We're gonna tell you actually. I want to tell you about one more sponsor, and we're going to tell you who our guest on Wednesday's pod is going to be right after this. And it is fucking awesome. Just proof that you really just got to go to Twitter. If you want to book somebody, just fucking go to Twitter. Our final sponsor of the pod, another Adam, Blau and Blau, the official law firm of the process. Just fucking destroying people in personal injury lawsuits. Just like a Terminator, like the T-2000 of personal injury lawyers, Kornblau and Kornblau. He's in
I
there
got
with,
hurt.
what's that?
I got hurt.
Oh, did you? What
No,
happened?
that was the slogan you put on him earlier at this podcast.
Oh, right. Yeah. I went to Kornblau. I got hurt. Do you remember he made T-shirts for our live pod at Underground Arts, and they were very funny. They were just like typed out. I want to know if I want to see somebody who has those shirts. He got them made. I fucking love Kornblau. Runs the law firm with his mom. Parents started the law firm 40 years ago. Has been just a pillar of the Ricky community for a couple of years now, helping out anybody with any legal advice whatsoever. Medical malpractice, what they specialize in, but really just sort of any personal injury. And think about it. You get hurt, somebody's at fault, you do the lawsuit, and then you can wear that T-shirt proudly that says, I got hurt, but I called Kornblau.
That's right.
Just,
No, it's just I got hurt. If you put the Kornblau on there.
yeah. Seriously, just a legitimately good person, and these lawsuits, personal injury lawsuits, take forever, and that's just how it works, and they're complicated and frustrating, and
So you want to have a guy that you want to be with for the rest of your life,
yeah, and that's Kornblau.
and that's Kornblau.
Yeah, you just a guy that you can trust and will is honest and will take you through it step by step. That's Kornblau. 215-576-7200. 215-576-7200. Doesn't cost you anything. The only way that Kornblau costs you anything is if he gets results for you, and there's you get paid out of the case. That's it. So 215-576-7200. Ask for Adam. You're gonna get him. You're not gonna get a referral. You're gonna get him. Or email kornblau@kornblauandkornblau.com. Adam Kornblau, the official law firm of the process. So I can't think of another player who's been on the. Oh, TJ is the only player who's been on the Ricky twice. Covington was on to promote his appearance very shortly, but it didn't really count as a Ricky appearance, I don't think.
No, not really. But although Covington at the lottery party was the moment when he comes out to applause
Is incredible.
and then like coming right towards us and getting a nice handshake and hug out of it was just such a special moment. I think about it. What a beautiful thing.
It's actually on the Xfinity Live Twitter.
That might have been the last nice moment of being a Sixers fan.
Yes.
it might have ended there.
Well,
He
because
got after the Celtics series,
Yep.
we were worried about him getting booed. He
Mhm.
didn't. It was beautiful. And then since then, who can say?
not only did he not get booed, but he got the ovation as if he was the finals hero.
Yeah.
The Rockets finals hero, Covington. And I cannot tell you how much you could see that meant to him. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
and talking to him afterwards, and then when we saw him in Minnesota, you could tell that it lasted until then, that he was just, it was a really great moment. And I agree with you. There's a video, just if you go back to the Xfinity Live Twitter from right after that lottery party, they have the best video of it, of just what the crowd sounded like. It's just really great. So the only two-time player has been TJ. And on Wednesday, for the second time, who is a player who is participating in TBT, the basketball tournament, which starts on July 4th weekend, one former Sixer, Trust the Process originator, Tony fucking Roden.
That's right.
On the pod. Very exciting.
So he's going to TBT, and there apparently was some discrepancy
As to what the team would be.
as what the team would be, and there unconfirmed reports that Tony Roden has a beef with Jake Pavorsky.
We're going to have to ask him about that.
We might have to ask him about that.
Ask him about it. Honestly, a Tony Roden beef. We had the review of this pod being a snake eating its own tail.
I don't disagree.
A Tony Roden beef with Jake Pavorsky would be the greatest, most unexpected snake eating its own tail in history.
Yeah, I got a mouthful of tail right
now. So that'll be Wednesday. We're excited. So basketball tournament, TBT starting July 4th weekend. Tony Roden in it, who I think is going to fucking dominate TBT, to be honest with you. It's made for him.
So good. No offhand whatsoever. You know exactly what he's doing, and he still finishes. He's got that like tape over his hands and fingers sometimes, and the ball just goes in.
I love him. So excited to have Tony Roten on. So that'll be Wednesday night. So we'll talk to you then. Are you done with TTP?
Yeah, lick face.
If you don't fuck with me,
then I won't fuck with you. If you don't fuck with me,
then I won't fuck with you.
If you don't fuck with me, then I won't fuck with you.
If you don't fuck with me,
then I won't fuck with you.
But if you fuck with me,
I'm gonna fucking kill you!
Time for Plan B.